Welcome gamers, Hazzador here, and today I'm going to be reviewing We Happy Few. Now bear in mind this game is in early access, so a lot of the problems that I do mention in this review can definitely be sorted by the time the full game is released and we get the polished version of this title. Although it is in early access, I think this game has a lot of problems and it has a long way to go before it can be considered a really good game. The first thing I found to have a problem with this game is that it lacks an identity. I don't know if this game's trying to be a horror game, if it's trying to be a survival, a walking simulator, a story-driven game. It seems to be pushing in all these directions and not sort of taking one main path to make us concentrate on one specific element of the game. The direction I think they should take personally is driven towards the story. There could be a lot of lore in this game, backstories of lots of different characters, finding letters scattered about different houses and stuff, and I think that would be the best direction to take this game in. And at the moment it seems to be pushing towards survival a bit too much. I found the survival element of this game quite unnecessary and there's just too much emphasis on surviving in this game. A lot of the time I spent loads of time just walking about the city or the village trying to find food and water. Well, water isn't actually hard to find, to be honest. There's a fountain right outside your base, so I don't really see the point of putting it in the game if there's a fountain right outside where you spawn most of the time. I really don't understand what's the point of putting that in the game, and your hunger bar goes down so quickly and most of the time you only find rotten fruit about the place, so you get ill, and then of course if you die there's permadeath, and I think overall there's just too much concentration on survival. I'd much prefer to go out there and find more about people's stories and how they've got into this situation in the first place. Also, speaking about the story, there's not much story in this game at all. It is an early access, and in the full game we'll be able to play as different characters which will have their own specific story, but of course this is the early access, so I'm only going to be reviewing this version of the game. You find a few letters scattered about here and there, but that's not really adding much to your experience, and there isn't much depth into it at all. The game's also very buggy, a lot of things that shouldn't be happening that do, crashing unexpectedly, and the frame rate drops very hard in certain situations. I played on the Xbox One, so it may only be on this system. On PC it may be different, but I experienced lots of frame rate drops during this game, going into new areas and exploring new sort of bases and areas of the map. The combat on this game is very basic and simple. I don't think the combat in this game is anything groundbreaking. It's just button mashing with a stick or a club in your hand. Quite boring in my opinion, but hey, that's in the game, I don't mind it being in there. But the combat, I'm just saying, is quite boring and quite unnecessary in my opinion as well. I'd prefer to just have the option to run away, sort of like in Outlast. I know you can't really compare these games, they're massively different, but I'd prefer We Happy Few to follow the Outlast route of just being able to run away from your pursuers. I think that'd be much more interesting. The inventory in this game as well is very messy. Everything's just cluttered about the place. There's no specific sections you can put in, for example, consumables, items, quest items, things like this, and everything is just mashed up into this one box where you have to pick out what you need. You get mixed up a lot of the time, and I find myself looking for food in my inventory for a good couple of minutes sometimes to find a specific item I need. Now, despite me being quite critical about the game so far, I think this game still does have a lot of potential, and this game could definitely become something amazing if it follows a specific route and doesn't try to be 3 or 4 things at the same time. This game's going to be released in 6 months or something. This early access is going to be going on for a while. There's going to be a lot of feedback taken from the developers and are hopefully going to improve on what we have said about the game so far. And that's what early access is for, isn't it? They get to see if their game is actually good or not and to see what the community feel about their product. A lot of the things I've mentioned about this game that are bad can definitely be sorted in a full game. So I imagine in my review of We Happy Few the full game will be quite different from this, because at the moment this game is not really worth £23 at all. It's not a finished product and I wouldn't recommend buying it so far. Wait out till a full game comes out, because when it does come out I honestly think it will be a very good game. Because even in the early access I really am intrigued to go out there and explore the world. All the different quests are really interesting, the different people and the interactions with people in the world is very fun, to see downers or people taking joy, different ways they interact with you. The crafting system's also quite good, however the inventory's all muddled up as I've mentioned before, and in general the world seems like like a very interesting place and I really want to explore it. The graphics as well are very beautiful, it's got a very good art design, and it's sort of got that Bioshock feel to it that make it really stand out. But yeah, overall, this game still has a long way to go, and it's going to go a long way. As I've mentioned, it's got about 6 months before release date, so it's still got a while to go. Is it going to take a specific path, for example, follow a horror theme, a survival theme, a story-driven theme, and I think that decision is going to be vital to whether this game is going to succeed or not. But anyway guys, thank you for watching, like, comment and subscribe for more.